Hello everyone, it's Dr. G. I hope you're doing well today. We are going to continue our series today of branding strategy and talk a little bit about one of my favorite topics, which is color psychology and branding. So let's get started. There's a few things that I want you to take away from today's discussion and from the module that we're working through for branding strategy, and that is I want you to really understand the key elements of color psychology that we'll be walking through today, and you'll be doing a number of readings and watching some videos that are loaded into Canvas. I also want you to evaluate the color selection that your client has chosen on your brand evaluation and brand personality exercise that you're working through. Then finally, I want you to make a recommendation, whether it's keep the one that your client currently has or changing up the recommendation for a color scheme based on what you've learned today. So let's get started. Just a reminder that you're working on the branding assignment, which is a brand evaluation assignment. And this is a workbook that you have. Watch the assignment. That is the video on it. That is part of Canvas. And what we're going to be working on today is talking about pulling out your brand evaluation workbook and really looking at evaluating the colors that your clients have. So what I want you to do is a couple of things that will help you with this exercise that we're doing, this assignment, is I want you to describe based on what you've learned the existing color scheme that your client is using. Then I want you to evaluate the client based on the colors they have today, based on brand personality. Remember the 5 adjectives that you've chosen. And then the color psychology that we learned today. So what would you change? Would you keep it the same? How does it align to their personality? So keep your worksheet out while we go through this, and I think it will be helpful for you. So let's start off with just a thought starter here. So I'm asking you, what is your favorite color M&M? And if we were in class together, I would have a bag of M&Ms for you, and you could choose your favorite and pass it on. So I want you to jot down your answer and think about this as we go through our session today. So you've chosen an M&M, right? Whether it's green or yellow, brown, blue, maybe you like the pink colored ones, or holiday red and green. And I want you to think about, why is that M&M your favorite color? M&Ms all taste the same, right? They have a candy coating shell, but they all taste the same. So why do we choose a color that we like best when we're going through our bag of M&Ms? That's what I want you to think about. Well, the reason is something called color psychology. And as human beings, our minds are programmed from a very young age to respond to colors based on the colors that are used in society. And so you probably have the same favorite color M&M that you've had since you were young. I've done this test a long time, and most students say, you know what? I really like the green, and I like the green because I remember having the greens as a kid. So remember that we're really programmed from a very young age to respond to color. And what that does is it shapes our thoughts and our emotions about things, about products, about brands, about the clothes we wear. So color also has the ability to change your perception of a brand and whether you're going to buy or not. And it's been found through research that up to 80% of motivation in shopping and buying behavior has to do with color and your psychology related to it. So I have this little info or infographic that's been used out there. So if you Google color psychology, you're going to come across this. This is an infographic based on what Psychologists have found, based on consumer research, on what people believe colors mean and the logos that represent these colors. So let's look. So what this particular research study has indicated is that orange is very warm and exciting and optimistic. Um, so that's yellow. Sorry, I apologize. And you can see a lot of the different colors here that are yellow, from McDonald's to Hertz to UPS. Friendly orange, Nickelodeon, Fanta. Excitement, bold, often assertive or aggressive. Coca-Cola, CNN, Target, Avis. So brands go and they typically, once they have identified their personality, based on what their beliefs and their missions and their values are, they're going to create a logo and a color scheme based on that personality. Creative. So you can see here the Sci-Fi Channel, Yahoo. There's some creatives, Taco Bell. Trust and strength, blue. Blue is a big color for financial services. You'll see a lot of banks and credit card companies using blue. Peaceful is also often very healthy, nature oriented. And you'll see a lot of this in the financial services as well, money related. And gray is often calm, etc. So you'll see here that companies align their color scheme to this concept of color psychology, because we know that consumers really relate well and their buying patterns often align to color. So I'm going to go through just a few examples. So when we looked at this color emotion guide, that's very similar to what we're going to talk about. And that's, when you're choosing a color scheme for your client, you definitely want to make sure it is aligned from a psychology perspective to what people feel emotionally about that particular color. So I'm going to go through a few examples here, and this is the actual adjectives are taken from the oberlo.com site, and I've gone through and picked out some of my own logos, etc., to help explain these concepts. But what consumer research is telling us is red is very often excited, passion, danger, or aggressive, energetic, action. So companies such as Coca-Cola, who want to be very bold, Target, etc., they want to have a strong color such as red. You'll see a lot of tech companies using red as well, and some banks. So then we go to orange. Orange is all about creativity, adventure, enthusiasm, success, balance. And so I have a couple of examples here where you will see like the DIYers that go to Home Depot. They're often enthusiastic. They like to try their own things. They often are very creative. And here's another one, Nickelodeon Universe. Again, very creative. This is actually from Nickelodeon Universe in the Mall of America, from where I'm from, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and it's very much about adventure and a theme park within a big mall. Very colorful and creative. So think about orange in that regard. Now, yellow is very much around happiness. Think of optimism, positivity, summer. Yellow is the bright, shiny color. Somebody who is very vibrant, or really wants to show a sense of, as I mentioned, vibrancy or sunshine or optimism. There's also a flip side to yellow that you will see in other cultures. Sometimes other cultures, or even within the United States, will see some colors as deceitful or warning. So take that to heart here. So we have IKEA. IKEA uses a very prominent yellow in their brand, which is very much around happiness. You go to IKEA, you have your little rooms. They're going to talk about, they're going to use bright, shiny people. in people who are happy in their stores. Now Subway has kind of a has both a mix of green and yellow. Now yellow is again happiness. Who's not happy with a sub, right? Especially with a Subway. I can't tell you there's, something really refreshing and yummy about the smell of Subway bread. And I can't think of a better color than to think of yellow when it comes to Subway. Now let's look here at Snapchat. Now, Snapchat could be happy and positive, but you might think, maybe Snapchat is one of these social media channels that, was the first to come out with the stories, and, it's only going to stay around for 24 hours, and people often, have their location, etc. That could maybe be a little bit more on a warning, but I guess I'm guessing that's not what the makers of the Snapchat logo thought. They're probably optimism, happiness, communicating with your friends, etc. Now, pink, my favorite color, believe it or not, is very playful, unconditional love, very dreamy. Pink is often, used it for a younger generation. It's very much a feminine color. And you'll see here Vineyard Vines, which is a very conservative, preppy style. They use pink in their logo with their whale. You'll find, maybe a lot of pink is used in food products such as ice cream and yogurts, and very playful, vibrant brand. Barbie is a big pink color. So think about pink is often aligned to femininity or, princess-like, young, etc. So think about pink in that way. Now, green is an interesting color because green is often used for your organic type of messages, your nature, growth, fertility, health. It's also shiny and happy. You'll see here Whole Foods is big and green, very organic. You're going to see their color palette full of fresh and vibrant uh, types of imagery, and they're definitely going to have that green organic thing about it. Now here I chose Fidelity. Now Fidelity is interesting. You will see greens used in a lot of financial service companies, and that is related to money or wealth, or again, sort of that health of your product, or the health of your money, the health of your lifestyle, etc. And here we've got green meaning nature. John Deere is they're green and yellow. Their logos have been around for a long time, and they're very much around nature, etc. So for those of you who are looking, when you start to look at different advertisements and stories on social media and logos, start to think about these colors and how they relate to you and how they relate to the personality of the brand. And green and blue is very much the trustworthy brand. Green is very much the healthy organic side. So blue is one of those colors that is often used. Red is used a lot. Your assertiveness, you're bold, you're out there. Blue, the opposite. Calming, stable, peaceful, trusting. You are going to see a lot of banks, credit unions, financial service companies, investment companies, insurance companies using the blue, because blue is your trusting, solid provider. Now you'll also see blue for quality, such as in car companies. GM and Ford both use blue as their trusted quality automobile provider. So that again is the personality that they're trying to convey. I have a little bit of an Aquafina here. Aquafina has tried to use sort of that peaceful, calming, trustworthy brand here. But keep in mind, as I mentioned, blue is about calm, peaceful, down to earth, all of those wonderful things about trustworthiness. That is why you see in financial services, insurance companies, a lot of services will be have some sort of blue in their messaging. Now, purple, another one of my favorite colors, probably my more favorite than pink. Now, purple is about power, regal, nobility, luxury, wisdom, spirituality. You will see purple used in innovative companies, companies who, maybe want to look a little bit different, but want to look more on the high end side. So here we've got the company called Purple, Purple Mattress, an innovative company that disrupted the industry by shipping you out a mattress in the mail. So what you need to look at as you look at this imagery is that purple is really kind of not only explaining the company, but all of the imagery in terms of luxury, power, etc. Now you see here from the Cadbury advertisement. Although this is a candy bar, it really does have more of that higher end luxury feel. So we're not talking about the M&M package here. We're talking about Cadbury, which is a European brand, and very much the brand of luxury. I also showed here on the YouTube channel of Hallmark. Now, Hallmark goes as far as not only using the color purple, but they also use as their logo, their icon, the crown. Now, the crown definitely is around luxury, nobility, wisdom, etc. So think about purple as kind of pushing the edge on trendiness, but also with more of a luxury nobility feel. Now, white is interesting. So if you think about white on a color palette, we generally think about being good, having humility, innocence, cleanliness, etc. On the flip side, if you were to go globally with the color white, it would be less of an innocent brand, and maybe outside of the United States, it might feel more cold or sterile. So I didn't have a lot of examples with the white logo. And the reason why is that white is great for a color palette, and most companies do use that. However, in any really good logo design or advertising palette, you are always going to have a white and black version of whatever you do. So in that case, I'm showing you Chanel here, which is very much a luxury brand, as you know. And then we have a very different cotton type of brand here. So you're going to see white used in almost any application of a logo, but if it's primarily white, like if you were to look at a website where, like an Apple website, for example, you're going to see black, white, and gray, very modern, etc. It's less about being innocent or they're using it more as a tech focus. So that's part of their palette as opposed to just having the white or black version of a logo that you can put on any application. As I mentioned, you're going to find very few logos that are white just because it's not a good color in being able to apply it to a number of different mediums. Okay, so let's talk about black. So black is elegant, sophisticated. It can be a little bit mysterious and very powerful. So the companies that use the black very well are a lot of your primary brands, your top 20 brands, meaning Apple. Apple uses black and white better than anyone because they want to have their products shown as modern, as tech focused, as clean and simple and powerful, and they don't need a lot of color. They might have a splash of color, but they're really going to focus on white, black, and gray. Now, Nike, as you know, Nike is going to be black in most all of their applications with their swoosh. And that is because it is also, not just powerful, it's very much around the athlete, etc. I have an example of Sony here that uses a black background with white as well, and then Cartier, which is a very sophisticated brand. So again, most of your logos are going to have a black and white version because you need to have that on certain mediums, particularly if you're doing merchandising, something like a logo on a shirt, etc., a logo on a baseball cap. But know that the companies who use black and white very well do it well. And just a small note to gray. Now, gray isn't used very often because although, from a psychology perspective, it's very much around neutrality and balance. However, gray can also, if it's not used in a very solid, good way, could be deemed dingy or dreary, like a rainy day. So the companies that use gray very well, Apple, as I mentioned before, they're just brilliant at, their products are mostly silverish gray, so they're good at mixing that modern color palette with a lot of white space. Wikipedia has a gray logo, and if I were a psychologist, I would say the reason is because they want to look like they're blending in. I mean, they are a company of free encyclopedias, information, and their goal is not to stand out. Their goal is to blend in. And then Mercedes, although I put it in the gray, it really is more of a silver, very prestigious, neutral palette. Okay, let's talk a little bit about brown. Now, brown isn't my favorite color. I'm going to tell you a little story here. So, brown is from a psychology perspective, is very much comfort, security, down to earth, and nature. When I had one of my first interviews as a college student, I went to, how you go to the interviews and you go from one company to the next. Well, I made it through my first screening interview, and then I went to the headquarters of UPS. Well, not the headquarters, the regional office in Minneapolis. And I went in my blue suit. I was all, ready to roll with all of my answers to the hard questions. Why do you want to work for UPS? So the first question I received from the person who had been at UPS for like 20 years or something sat me down, and the first question they asked was, "What do you think of the color brown?" Let me tell you, I was not prepared for that question. I'm thinking, okay, I just told you my favorite colors are pink and purple, right? And you probably wouldn't know that about me unless you knew me pretty well, because I'm a pretty private person and I never wear pink. I never wear pink or purple to class. So they asked me, "What do you think about brown?" And I was stunned. And I said, "Well, the brown is a great color. It's, it blends in. It's very neutral." And I said, "Brown is one of the colors in your logo." And they said, "Yes, as an employee of UPS, you have to love the color brown because everything we do is about brown, and brown is the color you'll be wearing to work every day, regardless of your job." So I thought that was interesting in that they took such pride, even, 20 some years ago when I was looking for one of my first jobs. So think about that as being comfort, security, always on time. Then you can think of brown in the context of the product itself, and you'll see that a lot in candy. So M&Ms will have M&Ms is brown chocolate, right? Gloria Jean's coffee beans. Coffee beans are brown, so it makes sense to have a brown logo there. Now, A&W root beer is brown. So sometimes you'll see Cracker Barrel. Now, Cracker Barrel is an interesting brown, and this is a very old-fashioned logo, but it's recognizable. It's kind of busy. But we'll talk about that when we get into logo design. So I'm thinking comfort food, like you see from their website here. Brown is very warm and comforting. So although brown isn't used very often in the color palette, when you're thinking about being down to earth or comfort or nature, it might not be a bad color to use in some application. So that's like the highlight of most of the colors in the color palette. Now I wanted to show you, this is an infographic that I pulled from, it's been around for a while. It's from Marketo.com. Marketo is a marketing automation tool. And Marketo did some consumer research back, a while ago, 2012, but as psychology, we don't change very fast. So which colors are companies using the most? Their research indicated that 29% use red, 33% use blue. Remember, I said blue is very popular. Use black or grayscale, 28%. And remember, I said most logos are going to have a black and white application, so I'm not really that surprised by that being that high. And then yellow or gold, 13%. So I want to think about, 95% of companies only use one or two colors. So for you, when you're going to evaluate your company, uh, you're going to evaluate a primary and a secondary color. 5% more than two colors. So again, this was from 2012. It's a bit of a dated research, and I would say that there's probably far more that we're doing a lot more digital marketing now, that there's more companies than 95% using more than two colors. So colors also, remember I said colors evoke emotion. They also, colors can have a positive or negative color association. So if you think about, remember blue was trust, blue, white, and green. When you see blue, white, and green together, oftentimes you think of law enforcement or security of some sort. When you look at yellow, white, and red, and you'll notice a lot of convenience stores will use yellow, white, and red. Different places where you need to get in and out fast. Speed is where red, white, and red. You'll see a lot of fast food places using these colors as well. Now, I don't know about this, so we just went through yellow, orange, and brown. Yellow, orange, and brown from a consumer insight said it meant cheap, and then fear, the scary red, gray, and black together often evoke fear. So again, consumers can associate different things about your brand based on your colors. Color combinations, the warmer colors, such as red, orange, and yellow, is really appealing to impulse buyers. So when you go through a store and you see your point of sale or point of purchase sales, buy now, different colors like that, you're going to see those in the warm colors. Now, the cool colors are more appealing to the budget conscious shoppers. Think of Walmart, everything is that cool blue, right? So the cooler colors will also influence your buyer's mood more than you may think. So how do single colors affect buyers' emotions? Remember I mentioned that we had 80% of consumer behavior based on purchases has to do with color. When you're thinking about red, red evokes hungry, aggressive, and impulsive types of emotions. Yellow, remember, like sunshiny, happy, calm, enthusiastic. Your bright, sunshiny day is yellow, and green is more peaceful, healthy, organic, relaxed. So these colors do evoke emotion, so keep that in mind. Just going to show you a couple of websites here. Remember I talked about the use of black and white. White in not only in use of logos, so you will see here the Apple logo is white on their website. They use very minimalistic design with their colors. So they don't use a lot of color here. They've got a pop with Snoopy there, but it's very simplistic, black, white, and gray. Now here's more of a tropical type of fun, fruity. Remember I said pink was a little bit fun and playful? Well, these pastel colors are playful as well. And you'll see a lot of these in the yogurts, the dessert types of products. Now you've got your classic. Here we've got the Red Lobster logo that's been around for, I don't know, I think it's been like 70 years, and they've only changed their logo about 3 times. That I'll show you that when we get to the logo section. But you'll see here that is very much clean, simple, red, meaning a little bit of act now, see your menu, bold, assertive, etc. So I want you to think a little bit. I've talked a lot about color, and remember when I started out with this particular session, I asked you to pick a favorite color M&M, and I know M&M only has maybe 6 or 7 colors. But when you think of yourself in your own personal brand, which 2 colors describe yourself? So take a minute to think about that. And then I want you to think about, did it match your favorite M&M? In many cases, you will, when I've done this survey before for hundreds and hundreds of students, the color of the M&M often matches the color that they would choose for their personal brand. So now I want you to think about what you've learned through psychology and see if there's something to that from what you know now. Now pull out, I know you've already got your evaluation workbook. Again, what you're going to do for this section of the brand evaluation assignment is you're going to describe your customer's color palette or your client's color palette or product or whatever you're doing for your semester project. Then you're going to evaluate it based on color psychology and ask and determine whether or not you believe they should make any changes. So that's, I know this is kind of a long video and I apologize for that, but there's a lot to color. It's probably one of the most important things you're going to do for your client is suggest a color palette. So when we talk about your brand identity, and there's another video out there on this, I wanted to show you quickly that color scheme is really important for a number of reasons. So I'm taking you to the Uber website here, and they are going to show you specifically your color palette, exactly which colors you can and can't use in what application. And you'll see here, Uber uses more. Uber actually uses quite a bit of colors. Remember, 95% use 2 or fewer colors. That's really is changing with modern design. So they're giving people a little bit of latitude. But if you imagine, I think Uber has something like 4 million drivers, and what you need to understand is each driver is an independent contractor. And if you are trying to protect the Uber brand and you want to make sure that your contractors are using the colors appropriately, you are going to give them a brand identity guideline to follow. So that is the Uber. I thought you might find that interesting. So any good brand is going to have a brand identity guide. So each of their designer, etc., person within the company using the colors do it appropriately. So I also have one here for Audi brand colors. I have the URL if you wanted to go there. Now you can see here that a lot of the things we're doing for our brand identity is on here: typography, imagery, illustration, icons, animation, and here's the colors that they will allow and how they should be used. Now, a good brand guide will show you how you can and can't use the colors as well. So that is what good brands do. They put together guidelines on how to use it. Now, I want to show you, there's a lot of different tools that we have within Canvas. Now, for your brand identity, remember you are, in your evaluation, you are going to select 2 colors for your client based on the psychology we just went over. So I have this particular URL in Canvas. There's some others too, but I really like this color tool. What you can do is you can go into this URL and select based on the colors that you believe from a psychology perspective are great for your brand. Let's say, okay, what does Kristy like here? Kristy remember I said I like purple. Purple is very regal. I would probably select a purple for my primary here. So you can see here, this particular website, and what I love about this is actual colors that you can use on your website or any other the creative asset you're doing. You can select a primary color and then a secondary color. Now remember I said blue as well. Now this is kind of a weird combination of colors, but what I want you to do is based on the psychology that you've learned, maybe you're going for a really, organic, healthy brand. You want your primary colors to be green, and then maybe you're going to do more of a fun, healthier, sunshiny color, maybe a little bit of yellow. So this particular tool will allow you to not only select your primary color, but it will give you matching colors that go well in the palette together. So I wanted to show you that little tool. Make sure that You use one of the tools within Canvas to help you create that evaluation. So I understand this was quite a long video, but I hope you enjoyed it. And as you go through your career, you're going to be working a lot with consumer behavior concepts, and color psychology is one that will impact a lot with your company, from a buying perspective, from an image perspective, etc. So we as consumers align beliefs with color. So if what I want you to do is take a few minutes, think about a couple of the ideas that we went over today. If anything makes sense, what didn't make sense, and how are you going to use these concepts in your real world? Particularly if you are going to be a marketer or an entrepreneur, and you're thinking about creating that image, that brand image for your company. So as always, if you have questions or comments, please feel free to email me, Dr. Kristy Grayson at in Canvas is the best, or please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And this and my other branding strategy videos are out there, and I look forward to seeing you all, or your comments and your questions soon.